Hey, this is Aaron with a 2,500 point battle line against the Warriors of Chaos Army. So, it's been a while for my Tomb Kings, but decided to bring them out and see if they could earn me some glory. So, out on the right side, we've got 3 Chariots, Standard Musician. We've got a War Sphinx with Fiery Breath, 10 Bowmen, a Catapult in the back. More towards the center, I've got a Casket, Catapult, a big unit of Bowmen with Standard Musician. And in there I have a level 4 of Nekara, a level 4 of Light with a Dispel Scroll. And just in front of that unit, 2 more level 1s of Light. So running kind of a mini Light Council. I've got a Strength 6 Banishment in there. Got 4 more Necropolis Knights, Standard Musician. 3 more Chariots, Standard Musician. Then I have a Necrolith Colossus with a Great Weapon. So he's more or less in the list because I made this custom model and I wanted to use it. So he does come in at Strength 8, which is pretty impressive, but his weapon skill is pretty sad. He only has 4 attacks, and his armor is only 5 up. But at least he's fairly cheap for a monster at 180 points, so just kind of a fun choice to test out. Yeah, on the far left, I've got 4 more Necropolis Knights, Standard Musician, and 10 more Bowmen. So on my opponent's side, he's got 3 Skull Crushers, he's got 2 Chimeras with Fiery Breath and Regen. More towards the center, he's got a Gorebeast Chariot. He's got a decent sized unit of Tzeentch Warriors with his Tzeentch BSB as well. And in the back, he's got a level 4 on the disc who's using Lore of Metal. Now on the far right, he's got a unit of Nurgle Warriors with the Festus special character. So going to cast turn 1, moves up a bit on the right. Same thing in the middle. And out on the left, he moves pretty aggressively with his Chimeras and Skull Crushers. In his shooting phase, he uses his Breath Weapon to take off 7 archers, which I was fine with. And going right to Tomb King's turn 1. So I decided to charge these Chariots into the Chimera. My only goal here is to maybe tie it up, weaken it a little bit, because I really don't want this thing flying around behind my lines. Especially don't want it to get to my Hierophant's unit. But good thing here is that in my magic phase, I got Speed of Light. So weapon skill 10, initiative 10 on my Chariots. Meaning I'll be able to put my full number of attacks on him before he gets a strike. So not a bad situation there. So also on Tomb King's turn 1, put a Strength 6 Banishment on this Gorebeast Chariot and take it down to 1 wound remaining. Also quite nice. So move my remaining archers forward a bit just to ensure I'm in the way of his Skull Crushers charging my Necropolis Knights. So kind of want him to fail his Frenzy test, in which case he'd charge my archers and be forced to overrun into a really bad position. And these are my remaining moves out on the left. So just using a unit of Knights and the Bone Giant to kind of defend the left. And out in the far right, really want to get that War Sphinx into his Nurgle Warriors and see if I can Killing Blow Festus. So at the end of combat on Tomb King's turn 1, yeah, a unit of Tomb King's Chariots crushes a Chimera. Not going to see that too often. So I actually killed the Chimera before it even got the strike. But then I overran to try to get out of charge arc of his Gorebeast Chariot. And this was a scree slope, so I took dangerous terrain tests and lost 2 Chariots. So that was a little rough, but hey, killing a Chimera, I'll definitely take that. So going to Chaos turn 2, his Warriors fail charge against my War Sphinx out on the right. He repositions his level 4 behind that temple and moves up his Tzeentch Warriors slightly. And out on the left, he spins his Gorebeast around to try to face my Chariot. Maybe get those points at a later turn. And out on the far left, so his Skull Crushers do pass their Frenzy check. And he elects to charge my Bone Giant to the right of the screen, but fails it and ends up where you can see him. His Chimera also tried to charge the Bone Giant and rolled triple ones, so you know, perfect for me. They really wanted that Bone Giant dead, but Now I can just go wide with my skeletons and block off his crushers completely, which is nice. Overview of the board after Chaos turn 2. And that's just a close-up of the left flank. So going to Tomb King's turn 2. On the right, I just back my War Sphinx up. I figure there's no need to really rush into combat against those warriors, and that it's better to kind of stay back within range of my magic buffs and wait for a more optimal situation. More towards the center, same thing, not playing aggressively with my Necropolis Knights. I have the range advantage, so it's just a matter of him moving up so I can make an easy charge. Out on the left, really same deal. Comfortable with my positioning here. Felt no need to really change anything. If his Chimera comes into either of these units, I'll be able to countercharge with the other easily. I didn't want to charge his Skull Crushers because I couldn't get both the Bone Giant and the Necropolis Knights into the Skull Crushers. And that's what I felt I need to take down 3 Skull Crushers. In my magic phase, the Casket of Souls finishes off his Chariot, which is nice. And in my shooting phase, so I had these 3 Skeleton Warriors here, nicely blocking off his Skull Crushers. And, you know, I decided to go for the glory. I have these flaming catapults that could just crush this Chimera. Everything would be great, but alas, I scatter off and crush my poor skeletons. So, man. Ugh, perfect situation. I shouldn't have risked it, but sometimes you just gotta go for the glory. So on Chaos turn 3, his Chimera fails a charge again against my Bone Giant. But due to my stupidity with the catapult, his Skull Crushers make it into my Necropolis Knights, and they're in deep shit, to say the least. Moving more towards the center, so he starts to get aggressive here. He just marches his full move forward, says, go ahead and charge me, I'm not worried about it. I can't say that I blame him. And after this combat on Chaos turn 3, so yeah, he absolutely rips my Necropolis Knights. But I knew I was going to lose this unit anyways, and this is actually a perfect situation, because I have 1 Necropolis Knight left with a single wound. That means I'm going to give up at most 1 combat res next turn from that wound, and I'm going to have a juicy flank charge with a strength 8 Bone Giant. And that's exactly what I do on Tomb King's turn 3. Also towards the center, I commit my Necropolis Knights against the Tzeentch Warriors. So my hope here is to just buff these guys like crazy with light magic and try to win this grind. Also commit my War Sphinx into his Nurgle Warriors. I stupidly didn't maximize against Festus. I don't know why, that was the whole point. And I also take 3 Chariots into his level 4. Only hope here is to really try to time up until the end of the game. So on the left, I land a Flaming Catapult rock directly on this Chimera. And I roll a 1 to wound, so that was disappointing. And after combat here in the center, yeah, Necropolis Knights absolutely rip his warriors. So I got the best buff off you can possibly get for Tomb Kings. Once again, Speed of Light. It's just perfect. It's an offensive buff, it's a defensive buff. It's just amazing for Tomb Kings. So I Killing Blowed his BSB, just crushed the warriors. Don't think I took a single wound in return. He was only hand weapon shield. And ran him down. So that was a huge points pickup there. And out on the right. So, yeah, you see my War Sphinx is missing. This is the point that I realized that Festus has a special rule giving anybody in his unit poison attacks. And he rolled 5 6s and killed my War Sphinx before I got to attack. So, that was a huge fail. And lesson learned on Festus. With the Chariots, I took 2 wounds. I had a charge banner, so I won by a musician, but he stuck. And out on the left, oh yeah, the Bone Giant took down the Skull Crusher. So lost the last Necropolis Knight, took 1 wound in return on the Bone Giant, but he just went to town and killed a Skull Crusher outright. And with a charge in the flank, they just couldn't hold, and he ran him down. So this is a great moment for Bone Giants everywhere who get no respect. And let's see, just another view towards the center after Tomb King's turn 3. So I don't have any pictures of Chaos turn 4, but I can kind of use this one to explain what happened. So you see his warriors block there on the right. He charged my bowman, and the only thing he could have failed that charge on was double ones, and he went ahead and rolled double ones, which I very much appreciated. So out on the left, he had that Chimera, and that thing tried to charge my catapult, failed again. The guy just could not catch a break with that Chimera. And that's the reason my Necropolis Knights were turned around on Tomb King's turn 4 to try to deal with it if it got into anything important. But nice Strength 6 Banishment took that thing off the board. So also on Tomb King's turn 4, we're still fighting this battle against his level 4. And I managed to beat him and just failed to run him down by like 2 inches. And guess which light buff I had up at the time to allow me to win that combat? Yep, Speed of Light. So going to Chaos turn 5. So this time he couldn't fail this charge against my bowman. So he goes ahead and charges them. He fails to rally his level 4, which I was quite excited about. And here's just an overview at this point, Chaos turn 5. So Chaos turn 5, he beats my bowman and overruns, making it into my catapult. So this is a little bit of a scary situation because I know we're going to fight this on Tomb King's turn 5. So that means he's going to be able to reform and make a charge on Chaos turn 6. So I'd have to play my movement phase really carefully to last till the end of the game. So going to Tomb King's turn 5, I'll go ahead and charge his level 4. He has to continue to flee, but he rolls double 6s, and I just couldn't get him, unfortunately. And so here's a view of Chaos turn 6. He finally rallies this level 4. He's got, actually only has 1 wound left on him from Tomb King's Chariots. Pretty impressive. And here's the charge he made on Chaos turn 6. So in Tomb King's turn 5, I was able to play my movement phase well enough such that he had to charge my level 1 of light, and his overrun couldn't take him into my bunker, which was very important since this is the last turn he could charge. And here's an overview of the board after Tomb King's turn 6. So another move I made on Tomb King's turn 5 was to swift reform the Necropolis Knights to face his level 4 at the upper right of the board. And so on Tomb King's turn 6, I tried to long bomb charge him, but failed that. I also moved my level 4 of light out of my big bunker unit. Threw out a banishment at the level 4. I dropped both rocks on his head, and I 6-diced a Casket of Souls, but just could not get the final wound off of him. But even so, still ended up as a major victory for the Tomb Kings. So this was a pretty good game for me. I felt, for the most part, my list did what I wanted it to do. A few exceptions, but you got to feel bad for the Warriors players, though. I mean, their book isn't that strong right now, and they don't have a lot of really powerful options in their army book. So it's especially tough when they're facing an overpowered army like Tomb Kings. I mean, when I have things like Skeleton Chariots and, you know, the Bone Giant slash, you know, Necrolith Colossus especially, that thing should be like 400 points is just too good. So it's definitely tough for the Warriors. Just kidding. I have no remorse for Warriors at all. Hope you enjoyed it.